This is Beyond the Books. I'm your host, Muhammad Ali, and this is my co host, Mohamed Jama. You've probably heard about STEM Muslims at Imperial, a society that's making a real waves by uplifting Muslim students in science, tech, engineering, and maths. And today, I'm joined by someone right at the heart of it, Mohamed Sharif. Mohammed isn't just your typical student. He's currently studying computing at Imperial, holding a first class average, interning at Amazon as a software developer engineer, and leading one of the most vibrant societies I've come across. How are you, Mom?
Yeah, I'm doing good. How are you?
Alhamdulillah, man. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah.
I think we should start from the beginning. How did STEM Muslims start?
Okay, so this is a question. It's not directly for me because I didn't actually start STEM Muslims. So STEM Muslims actually gone back 2 years right now, I think. So there was one president before me and there's another president before that. And how it actually started was, I guess they saw like a gap between in like the students at Imperial or even students in general at university. A lot of people have like that social atmosphere in Imperial, like through the ISOC or through their societies. For real, that's not the real reason why you went to university. You came to get education, you came to get a career, and you want to get the best in your career and your education as well. And as Muslims, we don't have that. Sometimes we don't have that support network compared to other people. People find their community at university, and we found a community through our ISOC. And we didn't have any support network in place for, let's say, supporting like older years, supporting younger years in their education. For example, you're doing third year computer science. Are you supporting a fresher in your same course and helping him to get the best grades and helping him in his career as well? So Samsung's kind of started from that. Just all the years helping young years in their education and giving them little advices. And it started off with like some group chats. They just sprung up randomly under the name STEM Sims for each course. And that's how it kind of started. It just was just a group chat of people mentoring each other, people communicating with each other and just helping each other out. Because like we're Muslims, right? Isn't it? The best thing you can do to someone is like help them and just support them in their education, support them in everything they want. And that's why it just started. And they had like an event and it was just grew rapidly. Alhamdulillah.
Now, I know that you have three cores, you have careers, education, and outreach. Could you just expand on that for the viewers so they can understand how it's structured?
Yeah. So okay, so we have I think this is probably the best kind of like segmentation of STEM Muslims. Careers, education, and outreach. And we have like vice presidents for each of them. Careers is the core of it basically. Is the reason why we go to university to get good jobs, right? And we support students in their careers. So like what does that mean? That means we give them mentoring advice for their careers. We support them in workshops for their ideal industry. For example, if I wanted to go to consulting, we invite mentors or we invite industry leaders from like McKinsey, Bain, top companies. We invite them, give them some interview prep. We have some consulting workshops where we go through case study preps. Or for example, if I want to go become a software developer, we would do like a weekly lead code club to basically get you the skills to actually pass those interviews and pass those coding assessments. And also annually, which our vice president Suleiman is leading, is we have our careers fair. A careers fair is probably the biggest event that we have held each year, and we invite like 20 companies or 25 companies down. Usually, these are Muslims working in these companies that come down, and they basically talk about the company, network with each other, and sometimes recruit as well, depending on the company. And students can actually leverage their network for that because they actually meet with new people, and they find how okay, I don't know what about consulting, but if I found someone from McKinsey and he told me about his job and how his like his work life is, I'll probably know a lot more, and I will not only know a lot more, but I would also be able to leverage this connection with him and to use that as a referral bonus for when I actually apply to McKinsey or I apply to another consulting firm. And then our outreach and education. Education is we support your students during university in education, whether that's through the academic tutorials, basically getting them the skills and the education up such that they get a first class in the university degree. And outreach is where kind of like where you guys come in. It's like the fun part of STEM Muslims because we just do activities and like initiatives for people outside the Imperial or outside the university. And one of them you came to was like the STEM day. So we target secondary school students, we target sixth form students, and even primary school students. And it's probably a lot of people really enjoy the outreach part of it because it's a part where we actually do pretty fun things. We had a science competition for secondary school students. So around year 10, they had like a science competition between 6 or 7 schools. And most of these they're not only limited to Muslim students as well, by the way. Like a lot of people joined joined some of these outreach initiatives and they weren't Muslim. Like it's not limited to that. They just came, they had fun, they took answered some problems, they competed with each other, they were building like little engineering towers, and it was a pretty fun atmosphere. And then not even that, but it's not even secondary school students, but also primary school students. we did like a robotics workshop for them. So they built like their own little Lego. I don't know if it was a Lego robot where they fight against each other. So these things are like I'll send you videos of this after, but these are pretty cool things that we do. And obviously our STEM day, which is like our core Irish event, we invite every year we're increasing the number. But this year I think we invited over 40 students.
Yeah.
So we split it up into 2 days where um one of them is like life sciences and kind of like biology and chemistry related. The other one was like maths and engineering related.
Yeah,
And you get
me and Mojo, I think we came to the engineering one.
Yeah.
And I think I think your outreach part, you're completely correct. It's one of the funnest bits because me and Mojo, we found it absolutely fantastic. Like him and me were discussing, and we just found this on AP STEM. We'll get to that as well.
Okay.
But we started the event. It was a little bit of an icebreaker, but eventually we started talking to people. We started talking to one of the students, and he was telling us that he has 4 stars, and we were like, we just kept getting shocked and shocked and shocked. And then I think the best thing was we realized how it's actually inside. I think we realized because from the outside, you can think Oxford, you can think Imperial, you can think Cambridge. But then when you see it from the inside, you're like, okay, these people are like us. They've just actually put the effort in. So it's like if anybody can put the effort in, they can reach that place, definitely. And I think one of the best things of that day was that the building kind of project. The project. We had to build a thing that
linear rotational force to
something like linear force to rotational force.
something like that, yeah.
And the mechanical engineering lecture as well. Wonderful. Like I still tell it on some of these podcasts. I enjoyed it so much. I remember it.
I enjoyed that so much as well. I didn't know about this, like, because this was the first time we've invited this lecturer. We didn't know nothing about what he was going to talk about, and it was amazing. Yeah.
No, definitely. I didn't even know what mechanical engineering was, but the professor explained it so well. Like the bubbles, and he was like, that decreases the cost of, yeah. And then Mojo drawing the tea that he made. No, but it was, alhamdulillah, a wonderful event, and I wish that inshallah more people go to that event.
Yeah, I have one of my questions is, well, I know you're kind of in the computer science field, right? So I was wondering, and I saw on your LinkedIn, we did some research about you. So, and we saw that you've taken part in CS50, right?
Yeah, I did CS50 when I think this was when I was in year 13 or something, or year 12.
Yeah.
Actually, I went through 2 iterations of CS50. I did it in year 11,
Yeah.
but I stopped because it was kind of like, it was during COVID times, and I just started and then I stopped, and then I finished it in year 13.
That might be the exact same thing I did. I started CS50 and in year 11, and I started doing it, but then school was getting hectic. Mock times were coming, and I couldn't finish it. And the due date to actually give you all your work passed. And I was like, okay, it's not bad. My like computer science teacher was like, you can just do it next day. I started next day, but this time I told Mojo to do it as well.
Yeah.
Summer holidays, we every day, 3 hours, problem sets, watching the lectures, problem sets.
I really love that course. It's just, after like, I think it's like week 4 or something, there's like an insane gap of like level.
Yeah.
And that's why I felt like when I was in GCSE, I was like, oh yeah, I know a bit of programming. This is kind of easy. Scratch. This is really easy. And then it goes to like C, and I'm like, yeah, it's still kind of. And then it just jumps up in like difficulty. But it makes sense because this is like a proper Harvard course, and it's like.
I knew it was hard, and I knew that like 60 to 70% of people would just drop after week 1. The Mario problem set, a lot of people found that difficult, and it was difficult. But I think personally, what I found the most difficult week was the pointers week. When you have to do the pointers in C, oh my goodness, that probably took me at least probably a month. I'll be completely honest.
Pointers is the hardest topic. It's so hard.
And I got so pissed because you can do pointers so easily in Python. It is one of the most wonderful courses. If I finished it, inshallah, Mojo's going to finish it next day. He had to drop it because he was busy with other stuff, but inshallah, he gets his certificate as well. No, it's a wonderful course for the people watching. They should definitely do it.
So following up with the CS50 kind of question, right? I just want to know, since I'm kind of considering engineering at, let's say, university or a degree apprenticeship, right? Do you think it's of any use for me to complete the CS50 course if I'm not considering going to university for computer science?
I think this is probably the best question. I think CS50 is probably the best foundation you can get in computer science. Everything that you pretty much learn in CS50, you're gonna need it later on. To be honest, whether you're going through like a cybersecurity route, or whether you're going through like a computer science route, or like a proper software engineering route, is literally the foundations. And it's kind of like those foundations that if you get correct, then everything after that should be easier for you. Even that, think about pointers or stuff like that. Like these are things that you kind of need to know in the industry as well. And later on, you'll find out like, okay, I'm solving these problems, and I have that foundation because I know. Let's say I know about threads, I know about these things. I want to run. I can understand what the documentation is telling me later on, because you might not need to get a degree to do a programming job, but you still need to know some computer science fundamentals, and that's the main core about it. Whereas the degree apprentices, don't expect you to know too much about it. They expect you to have some projects, some slight experience, or like some background knowledge about the course. But having that leverage or like that knowledge, oh, I know this much, I built this project. That's probably the best thing that you can show to them. And CS50 in general, obviously we have AI coming out soon, and a lot of things are getting automated. Like we have ChatGPT, but even there's a level where you need to understand what ChatGPT is telling you.
Yeah.
If you don't know about memory, like if you might not need to know the details about memory management, but understanding how memory works in general is a good practice for software engineering. And even in my workplace right now, there's a level where that AI can take you. You have to kind of use your own knowledge after that, and use your own skills and your experience after that, basically. And AI is kind of like a tool that you use to actually get you to solve the problems.
Definitely. I think personally, ChatGPT, it writes okayish code, but there's too many bugs all the time. It
Yeah.
doesn't realize how the logic works. It messes up on the logic most of the times. Expanding on the pointers and stuff. Like because I did CS50 in early year 12, I realized that recursion came back, Big-O notation came back in A level and stuff. And now let me just ask you this. You do the exact same subject as me.
Okay.
But you're in such an amazing position, inshallah. I want to be in that type of position.
Inshallah.
How did you get 4 A stars? Like,
Yeah.
tell us, what were you doing?
I don't think I was doing something like extremely different to other people. The main thing that I think that was a bit different is actually so in general, from my experience with talking with people, getting an A star in maths or like a related subject such as computer science is a bit easier to getting than an A star in say biology or chemistry or biology because there's a higher percentage of I think there's even a higher percentage of A stars in further maths than any other subject. Understanding the core concepts and these subjects sometimes they interrelate with each other. Physics and maths, there's a big overlap with each other. Maths and further maths, if you're really good at maths, further maths is the next step. And if you're good at further maths, you basically have an A star in maths. Physics and computer science, physics was the hardest subject for me by far. And I think that what kind of differentiated me was during my study techniques, I'd actually really focus in understanding why the concepts actually happen or why does it actually happen. It's not just memorizing the facts or memorizing the equations. I just need to know actually why these things happen and why okay, if I don't understand this concept, then there's no way I can go past this and I can skip this topic. Because everything else that if you don't understand how fields work, then electric fields and magnetic fields are all an extension of how fields work. And if you don't understand how fields work, then everything else will be a lot harder.
Yeah.
So that was kind of like my thing. And the way I studied, I don't think I studied an immense amount. I used to go through the topics and understand it, not immensely notes, but I'd read through the textbook and take some notes myself, and then I'd go dive into like practice questions. And what you don't know about so A levels and sixth form, there's an immense amount of materials out there. If you're doing physics, there's there's not only your past paper questions, there's also your Isaac physics questions. There's also if you want to take the level above that, you can do the Olympiad questions. And with all these things, there's like no limit to what you can achieve, like in terms of like how much you can improve yourself. Especially with maths, you can obviously you get your A level, but then you have your UKMT as well. So you want to do well in the UKMT, just like for fun. And if you do well in the UKMT, you can go to Olympiad. And if you did the Olympiad, you can do above and above that. So all of these things, and if you really enjoy your subject, that A level is probably the best thing you can do for yourself. You're enjoying your time. When things are hard, when the topics are hard, you're not gonna be disheartened because you're solving something that is really fun like in according to you. And I really enjoyed maths. I really enjoyed physics. I really enjoyed computer science. And the reason why I trained computer science above the other subjects was it was kind of a hard one as well. Yeah, that's a very long story actually.
Did you do OCR computer science or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Computer science in A level is also kind of, in my opinion, a little bit outdated and a little bit boring sometimes.
Yeah.
Have you guys started your NEA?
He doesn't do computer science.
Yeah, no.
I do computer science. NEA, my plan is to finish in the summer holidays. And
Okay.
I'm not starting it right now because my mocks are in like 30 days. So it's like,
Yeah.
it would not be wise to just start now. I've started my analysis, but I've only done like a page in the Word document.
Okay.
But no, I think the NEA should be fine. I'm probably going to be making videos most of the time, not really writing because I don't like writing. But
Okay.
because for the development bits, you can do the videos. But
You can do videos.
yeah, you can do videos. Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know about that. It's pretty cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because instead of writing so much, I can just talk about the problems. Of course, the video has to be like actually
Related.
good, yeah, related and good, and explaining what you
Yeah.
did. But it's just gonna save me time because I don't want to write all of this stuff, explaining every syntax error and stuff.
Yeah.
But what my mindset was, it's like I do maths, further maths, physics, computer science. Just thinking it might be wise for me to do only AS physics. And I was like, I don't want to undermine because further maths takes basically most of my time. Maths doesn't take any time because further maths kind of trains maths, right? And
Yeah.
computer science, it's all right because it's most of the stuff is GCSE, just a little bit more expanded on. Physics is just literally a new ballpark. Other than
Yeah.
mechanics, that is easy, bit because you do so much mechanics in a week. But because everybody who I've met who did physics, they're like, year 13 physics is the worst decision of their life. I shouldn't have done
Okay.
physics and stuff. But could you like? I just need some wisdom here. Like, should I do A-level physics or should I just do AS?
Okay. Question is, do you enjoy physics?
I enjoy physics. I do enjoy. I don't
Yeah.
enjoy particle physics. So it's like half.
Okay.
Physics.
But that's like one little subtopic of
Yeah.
physics. I guess like if I was in your position, if I really enjoyed the subject, then I would still do it.
Uh-huh.
Mainly and also because when you're applying to university, of course, like 3 A levels is needed, but kind of like when you're applying to like top universities, it's usually that fourth A level. Okay, if every person that's applying has 4 A levels, it's kind of like you might want to get a fourth A level as well.
Mhm.
Like when I went to Imperial, I used before Imperial, I was like, maybe I only need 3 A levels. Everyone here has 3 A levels. Going to Imperial is like the majority of people have 4 A levels,
Yeah.
and like I think that's the same for Oxford as well. Slightly different because it's because your combination of subjects, you have maths, fab maths, and physics and computer science. Sometimes fab maths is seen as like half an A level sometimes.
Yeah. Okay. Why though?
Because it's like taking an extension of maths. So it's not seen as half like A level, but a lot of the time when they say you do maths, fab maths, and physics, or maths, fab maths, and something, they recommend you to take an extra subject sometimes.
Okay. So they're basically saying maths and further maths. It basically puts you in a place that you're better at maths, but you're not like a whole level higher.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, and also I think physics gives you that breadth of knowledge as well. Whether you like studying physics you like studying physics right now, but I think A level physics, it just takes it breaks your brain basically, takes it to another level, and obviously it gives you that more stress and more work and more workload. But it's just like you're never gonna get this opportunity again to actually learn this stuff again.
Fair enough.
And like actually, because later on you're never gonna challenge yourself that hard.
Yeah.
You're not gonna do that. You're not gonna. But if you did like a really hard subject right now, you're never gonna like everything else after this will be easy. After A levels, I think after doing 4 A levels, you're gonna be like everything I can do right now.
Yeah. Now I think subject-wise, I enjoy further maths the most because we learn about so many new mathematical concepts, and I just love learning. Like for example, currently we started year 2 further maths, and
Already.
yeah, we finished CP1. We do FP1 and FM1 modules.
Okay.
We didn't do stats just because the whole class is horrible at stats, and we just collectively decided
Okay, yeah.
stats. But yeah, we finished CP1, FM1 just AS, FP1 just AS, and now we're starting CP2. So we've done the first. We've done this. Our sir didn't want to do the first chapter because he's like, if I start with the first chapter, you guys are gonna just fall on your feet and you're gonna lose it. So we're starting with the second chapter, which is series.
Yes, here. Okay.
A series with I forgot the thing, but yeah, again, it's just knowing like I find it so interesting. How does someone come up with this? Like, how does this method work? And I just find that interesting. Physics, I love physics, and I love astrophysics specifically. I love astrophysics, but it's just like we don't even learn about astrophysics. We learn about like the majority of physics is F equals ma in the sense the mathematical sense. It's just F equals ma.
You do OCR physics or AQA physics?
AQA physics.
Okay, but you have more of a. You can specialize in some modules in physics, right?
Right. Yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah. In OCR, you have to. So when I did OCR, you have to do everything. So you do astrophysics. So you have to do astrophysics. You have to do particle physics. You have to do medical physics.
But there's like 5 different modules.
How?
Yeah, there's a fight, but you do less of an intensity of each one.
Oh, okay.
I kind of like that, because your teacher doesn't the teacher decide which optional module you do?
Yeah, our teacher does decide, but everybody in the class is also thinking about doing astrophysics. They want to do, I don't know what it was, but they want to do an easier one, projectiles or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, they want to do something like that, but I'm not sure. Just some stuff to think about for myself first.
Yeah, just some soft stuff. Otherwise, if you have like, I think it's also if you drop physics, then you have extra time to do stuff that you maybe enjoy it a lot more. For example, let's say you're preparing for programming or something, you're like learning new programming languages or something like that, and it also depends on what you want to do after university as well.
JMC, Joint Maths and Computer Science.
In Oxford and Imperial.
Yeah, Oxford, Imperial, I think Queen Mary, King's, so around this area. That's JMC.
And then for both of you, are degree apprenticeships, is that in your plan?
Degree apprenticeships and apprenticeship we're definitely going to apply for. Like, degree apprenticeships are fantastic, but it's like, think about how much more hectic your life would be. In the sense, now you're doing a degree, which is just a normal degree, but you're also doing an apprenticeship. So it's like, for most people, apprenticeships are good. Again, I want to do a degree apprenticeship, but it's like, that is something for people to look at as well. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess it's the life of a degree student is a bit different to the life of a university student. One thing, okay, I think one thing in both of them, I think especially if you go to Imperial, your life is always going to be studying and always applying to jobs and applying to internships or like doing an internship alongside or a spring weekend alongside your studies. So that's also something to consider as well. So it's not just your studying, but you have to balance all these other things as well.
Right.
And depends if you want to join like a society or something, you want to put some time and effort into that, you might want to consider that as well. For a degree applicants, you have your work obviously, your 9 to 5, and you have your university. You remember when you finish your 9 to 5, it's not only you can't just log off and go home. You have to work on your degree as well. You have to study some parts as well. But there's always benefits of both and pros and cons for each one. I think with a degree apprenticeship, you have more experience, more in-depth knowledge within your field or domain. With a degree, you might have a bigger name depending on your university. You might have also a little bit more. It depends on what you do in university as well. You might have more breadth of knowledge, and if you get internships in your degree, you have more variety of experiences.
Now, I know you have an internship at Amazon. Could you explain more how that happens, especially university wise? Like how I don't know if it's started yet or not, but if it has started, how is that affecting your studies and how are you gonna handle all that?
Yeah, one thing that Imperial does well is that they have like a big focus on practical components. In your third year of computer science, I think as well as JMC, Joint Maths and Computing, you have to undertake a placement. It's like compulsory as part of your degree, and that placement is 6 months. So what they do is like they support you in they give you a bunch of companies to apply to. They give you links and stuff like that. Obviously, you apply through the normal process. You don't have any advantage, but they give you some support in terms of practicing for interviews, for example, and giving you these links and resources. So I applied to a lot of places, and then I got a few offers, and I just chose Amazon at the end because Amazon is probably the best company that aligns with what I want to do in the future. Amazon is a lot more different. For example, one thing that was culture shock in Amazon, when you go to a meeting, like if the meeting is based around a topic or like a thing that you're doing, you produce a document before the meeting, like a 5-page document or like a 3-page document. And then in the meeting, you have 8 or 10 people around you. And in the first 10 minutes, you all sit silently and read through the document
Okay.
and then make notes onto the document. And it's just silently, and you just have to do that.
Yeah.
And then after that, they give you feedback on your document.
Yeah. I've heard that. I've heard that. It was the whole point was so that when you give a document before, nobody reads it and
Yeah.
then make sure everybody's on the same page.
It makes everyone understand.
Yeah.
And is in that 10 minutes, if you're writing the document, you're waiting, you're seeing the comments come in and you see the feedback come in and you're like
Yeah.
slightly intense. What are they going to say after that? So it kind of like pushes you to actually do more, to better.
Yeah.
But I think it's a really good, the culture there is pretty good. They teach you a lot. You learn a lot in your job. Um, you also have like, depending on your manager, you're very supportive. They're very supportive of you and your mentor as well. And the projects in terms like they tend to be more exciting as well.
Interesting. Now, there's a lot of different fields in computer science that you could go in. Now, computer engineering and software engineering, is that the same thing?
No, they're completely different.
Is it?
Um, actually, so in Imperial they have something called EIE. Have you heard of EIE?
No.
So when I was applying to Imperial, I applied to 2 subjects. I applied to EIE and I applied to EIE and computer science. EIE is electronic and information engineering, or you can say that's similar to computer engineering. Computer engineering is more hardware based, and you focus on like chip design and kind of like the low level concepts of computers and stuff like that. And you also do some electrical engineering stuff. Computer science is purely algorithms and software engineering and all these things. There's overlap within them. For example, both of them learn machine learning. Both of them learn topics such as computer architecture and design and computer system design. But if you're doing computer engineering, like your ideal company will be something like, let's say ARM or something, or like Apple and making chips for them and improving on their chip design, or Qualcomm, for example. As for like if you're a computer science student, your ideal company will be like a ideal company. Some people would want to work at a startup, or your ideal company will be like Google or Microsoft or like one of those companies. So either big tech or one of those companies.
Now, this is quite like computer science in the media's field. It's known as jobless. It's known as that whoever does computer science a few years ago, you could make a lot of money, but now
Yeah.
because there's so many computer science, you can't even get a job. And now there's this jokes that when I see a homeless guy with a computer science degree, stuff like that. Why is this true? Or, like, what's the insight? Because you're closer to all of this job type stuff than we are.
Yeah.
We're just still in the education phase. What do you think?
I think it's somewhat like there's like truths and like there's some things that are true, some things that are not. The computer science job field is very hard. It's immensely hard. You apply to, for example, you apply to 70 jobs and maybe you only get like a few interviews, and then from those few interviews you might not even get an offer, you might get one. So there's an immense, like, you have to apply to a lot of jobs. Like, it's required to. It's very rare that you apply to like 10 jobs and you get a job immediately. So that was my experience. But also, it's kind of like there are jobs available. It just depends on what you're working at or what you want to do in the future. There's a lot of opportunity within startups as well. So startups tend to recruit a lot, and because they have a lot of VC funding these days, and there's a lot of money going to them, they would like to work in, like, it's very good to actually work in a startup because you get a lot of experience as well. And big tech tends to be a little bit more competitive, and like banks and investment firms, because they have multiple stages, and then you go through 4 stages, and you spend so much time like preparing for them, and then the 5th stage you just cut you off.
Yeah.
And that's similar to like degree apprenticeships as well, because degree apprenticeships are pretty competitive as well. But in general, and because computer science has a large, I guess you can say, social media influence. I love when a person says, "I want to get into tech." They see it like a day in the life of Google, and they see he's just eating all day and he's having snacks all day and he's drinking coffee. I mean, that's not how it actually works out, but that motivates people, and they're like, "Okay, my dream job is to work in like Google," and that there's a large influx of people that they wanted to go into tech, not because they maybe enjoy the software engineering or enjoy the computer science, but because the tech life is more better than other lifestyles, like finance lifestyles. And that's why a lot of people start moving to tech, and that's why there's a large like there's a big um competition within the job market there. But kind of that differentiates between there's a big differentiation between junior programmers and like senior programmers. If you're a senior programmer, it is very rare for you to not have a job, to be honest. From my experience, or like from what I've seen about companies would want to snatch you up as soon as possible, and you constantly have like recruiters emailing you all day, and um they say, okay, can you join our startup? Startups really want like founding engineers that know all the tech infrastructure and all these things in the back end, because they can build up a system from scratch. But in junior engineers, it's a bit harder to get a job for, and it's that part of the market, the junior engineer market, where people want to go into tech, that is a lot harder to get a job in.
I was talking to one other person, and they were telling me that it's better to go into a startup than an actual big company, because they basically said it like this: if you go in a big company, you're basically like a cog in a huge system. They might give you some work, and you can have a small impact, but in a such big system. But when you're in a startup, you're actually handling so much like section of it, or you're in charge of so much, or even if you're working on some part, you're actually going to see it make a difference. You're actually going to see that growth in it. I think I personally would want to work at a startup. I just think going in Google. I don't mind going in Google and Microsoft. I'm not saying that.
Yeah, I agree with this like 100%. I think the startups are pretty cool to work for, and to actually build one is like immensely rewarding. The experience you gain from there, and also it depends on your work, the companies and the people you're working with. Usually, you might, as a junior engineer, you might not be the first engineer that's there, but you might be, for example, like the second or five, like you might be the fourth, like top five basically engineers, and you'll gain a large number of experiences. Not only you're not doing just front end, for example, you're doing back end as well. You're doing everything. You're doing basically full stack development, and as in a startup, you're expected to do full stack development most of the time. In companies like big tech, Amazon, Google, you are just working within a service. Or like if you might be given a task, which is, if you look at it, you're like, this is really, really small, but it's within a large ecosystem of things. And also startups tend to move a lot faster than big tech companies, from my experience, and um they can iterate and they can change and they can pivot really quickly, and that's one of the main benefits of working at a startup.
A lot of things go wrong with a startup as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of it's a lot more risky to work for a startup as well.
Yeah, I built this team in our school, and basically our teacher gave me this opportunity. She was like, "Ali, I want you to be part of this Samsung competition. I was called Solve for Tomorrow," and I was like, "That's wonderful." And I was like, "I should just do this alone, you know." But then I was like, "If I want to go fast, I'll do this alone, right? Because I can do most of the stuff by myself. But if I want to go far, it might be viable to make a team." I built a team. We got chosen out of 512 teams. Wow. 20 got chosen, and we were one of them. Right?
Okay,
We all
mashallah.
got a free. Well, this was not placed here on purpose. I just to say we all got a free tablet from Samsung, right? And it was static, and I was like, everybody had their hopes so high. Everybody was like, oh, this is gonna turn into a company. We're gonna be a startup, and basically the whole concept was we built this hardware kind of robot, and it was a very genius, curious person. And it was called Ether. And you would put it on your desk or anywhere, and you would teach it stuff, whatever you're learning, A levels, university, secondary school, you can choose in the settings. And while you teach it what you're learning, it will question your understanding and make it better. So it's like if I teach it something completely wrong, I say, Ether, the faster you run, the less oxygen you need. Ether is not going to say, oh, that's completely wrong. It'll say, oh, that's quite interesting. I've heard that the faster you run, the more tired you get. And I think that's called oxygen debt. Maybe you want to look into that. And it kind of guides you there. The whole idea was, because we're so reliant on ChatGPT, our whole idea was to get that away, get that what's called learning aspect back. But unfortunately, they didn't choose us just because of some few errors. And alhamdulillah, I'm very happy that I got to even experience this opportunity because I've learned so much from it. Now I know how to build a better team. Now I know now not to go for more people, go for more specific, precise people that can help you develop specific sections of it. And alhamdulillah, I couldn't ask for more.
Yeah, I think that's actually a pretty cool project. Like I was working on something related to that, but that's actually very that's a super cool project. And that was using LLMs in the background as well.
So the end idea was that we're gonna have our own language model, but what I did was I basically got some tokens from ChatGPT's and I used ChatGPT 4 Turbo, and we used that and I trained it. Just like I took like a few days of my time, trained it on like questions student might ask, error training and stuff. And we just have this rough beta type version you could talk to. We made a hardware component, we 3D printed it, and
Okay.
I learned how to 3D print, and it was like a whole week. I was just doing 3D printing the whole week. And we had the hardware, we had the software. We didn't have it together yet because again we were making prototypes. And then we sent the application for the second stage to Samsung. They were like, "This was really difficult. You lost by 2 points. If those few words were to change, alhamdulillah, we would have gone past." But alhamdulillah, I'm very happy with that project.
Alhamdulillah, that's actually very like amazing. Like kind of like that's these opportunities when you're like 17 or you're 17, right?
I'm 16. He's 17.
Okay, mashallah, that's like crazy. Like I would never have thought like about doing something like this when I was 16, and like reaching to this level. And it's kind of good that like you've done this when you're 16. When you're 20 years old, 4 years later, look at what you can build after that. So there's a high bar for you right now.
I tell my brother this. I'm like, I wrote a book when I was 13, and I started in year 10, and it was on AI. It's called Revolutionizing the Concept of Artificial Intelligence. And I started researching AI in year 9, year 9ish, because I came abroad, and because in Pakistan the education is a little bit more advanced in the sense when you come here everything's a little bit easier. I had so much free time. I started just was curious. ChatGPT was very up in trends, and I started learning about AI. I did the Blue Brown guy on YouTube. I saw his LLM course. And then eventually I had so much stuff I knew. I was like, let me actually start just writing this down in a Word document. So I just started blurting out whatever I learned in a Word document just so I can come back to it later just so I don't forget my facts. And eventually what happened was I had like 100-page Word document. And then one of my friends suggested that, bro, this is so big, you could probably make it into a book. I got a person from New Zealand. My father helped me with that, and he's a PhD professor in artificial intelligence. I wrote my book. It took me 2 years writing, reviewing, sent it to him. He proofread it, found some mistakes, fixed it. It has a bibliography, everything covered. Now, alhamdulillah, for that, it's been a year. It's been on the internet. Anybody could buy it if they want.
Allah back. That's amazing. That's literally
He's not normal.
even university students don't need this level. Those things. That's like I hope inshallah that like whatever you do in the future, you excel in and you achieve your both of you as well.
Inshallah, inshallah. Now, Mojo, he's also not normal. Mojo is one of the most fantastic people I've ever met.
Oh, thanks.
Him and me, we went to Eton College for a summer school.
Yeah.
Yeah, wonderful time there.
Seriously.
Wonderful time. And Mojo, would you want to share some of your projects?
In general, or
In general.
I mean, I have taken a course on
That's cool.
wind turbines, just like offshore wind turbines in Taiwan. So I think it took me about like a month or two, and I was just kind of watching videos, kind of like CS50, but not that intense. So I was just watching videos, and I was kind of completing problem sets, small problem sets here and there, and I learned so much. I didn't know it took that many hands, that much detail, that much precision to kind of put together kind of like that massive structure, right? And I didn't know you had to kind of focus that much on the sediment of the coastline and stuff like that. And I was kind of really intrigued about that. So then I went to do a bit of research, and I managed to secure kind of some Shell sustainable energy kind of online course, another one. And it took me about like a month to complete, and then I got a certificate. That was really awesome. So yeah.
Now, the great thing about that is because he wants to go into engineering, and if he decides to go into aerospace,
Yeah.
I know the first year they build a wind turbine.
Yeah.
It's like, he has a little bit of a lead knowledge-wise.
Yeah.
So in your personal statements, if you pick something that you've done that's very niche
Yeah.
or like something within that topic,
Right.
that's like really amazing to write about. Like whether you're, because a lot of people just tend to do like the most general things,
Right.
but finding something like a niche and then you studied about, you researched it, and you maybe built something in it, that's like literally amazing for your personal statement. I think that's pretty good. Even if, are you applying to aerospace engineering?
Not me. I want to do mechanical engineering.
Okay, yeah. But they're both interlinked with each other. They're
Right.
basically the same.
Do you think I should complete CS50? Because like I got to like I think week 3 or 4, but I didn't manage to complete it. Do you think I should go back and then try to complete, and then I can present like a certificate as well?
Maybe, yeah. I think so. I think it's worth it in the future
Right.
because in whether you're going to university or whether you're working in industry, you're gonna learn a programming language. You might learn MATLAB, you might learn Python, you might learn something. And I think all of these like skills are pretty useful for any industry you're gonna go to. So CS50 is a good foundation knowledge for if you're gonna do even biology, for example, because it gives you that slight tech background. And now we have that tech background. Okay, now you can work as a researcher at a big, large pharmaceutical company, and you don't have to learn like the scientific modeling. You already know about all these programming languages. So I think even when I speak to my mechanical engineering friends or when I speak to my aerospace engineering friends, a lot of them take modules within their degree that's like high performance computing
Wow.
or like real time computing,
Yeah.
and then some of these concepts they learn later on, like memory management and all these things, because they're working with C++, and C++ is like the object oriented version of C,
Right.
and like you have that head start because you're already know programming.
Yeah.
So I think it's also like very useful to learn,
Yeah.
and it's much more easier to build something with tech than actual things. So I think it's useful to learn in general as well. Obviously, like I'm kind of biased because I'm still a computer science background, but I think just learning all these skills in general is not going to detriment your future in any way. It's actually going to improve it and going to give you more variety of opportunities.
Yeah, I was gonna expand on that as well. Like, I don't think any knowledge ever learned is lost. I think you will eventually come back to it as well. And CS50X specifically is an introduction to computer science that gives you such a necessary way of thinking, like
Yeah.
that procedural way of thinking of, okay, this happens in this, and I think that's quite necessary. Maths like tackles that a little bit, but like you definitely need that, especially in STEM field. You're gonna need that type of thinking to solve any problem.
And like a question for you both of you as well. What is the biggest like struggles or challenges that you guys face right now as like Muslim students? Like when you want to achieve like ihsan or excellence in whatever you want to do in the future, what stops you guys from that like right now?
Bob?
I was gonna say, do you understand? I think I need a minute.
I think right now, like school wise specifically, I know you asked us this when we were at STEM Muslim. You asked us, does any of your schools prohibit like was
Oh, yeah, I remember.
praying in the school? Because you told me that like there was this company that they're going to schools and exposing them and stuff. And alhamdulillah, our school, my computer science teacher is Muslim, and we have a prayer room. Of course, currently because Zohar is higher, nobody prays in the school; they pray at home. But I don't think as Muslims there's that much, but I think there's a little bit of bias, little when it comes to companies and stuff. I'll give you an example. My sister applied to Locked In, right? The Locked In company in Central London, and she got to the last stage. Like it was, the chances of her getting to the last stage was incredible, right? Everybody was happy, and it was her and like I think 5 other people, and then they rejected her. Now, let me just remind you, this whole company is white. There's
Okay.
not one colored person there. And my sister comes in, she's brown, wears a hijab. So that's
Okay,
like a
yeah.
complete shift. So I'm not saying, I'm not pointing fingers here, I'm just saying that I think they're still underlying there are issues. Stuff like my friend, when he asks you what ethnicity you are, he just says prefer not to say, even though he's Pakistani. Because he's like,
Okay.
when I do others, they come back, they reply to me. But it's like, it's just there, what can you do about it? But alhamdulillah,
Yeah, it's kind of hard to
they're
do.
Muslim, they help us.
Yeah, even so, like speaking from my experience as well, like sometimes it is slightly awkward. Like for example, let's say you go to a networking dinner and like let's say they have alcohol and obviously you'll feel more uncomfortable with that. You don't like it much, and it's also balancing these things and also let's say if someone wants to like shake your hand, it's like and it's a bit awkward sometimes. And those things kind of like even though they're really small things, you already feel kind of like oh I've lost it already.
Like an outsider.
Outside the game because let's say you'll be like oh they don't already like me or something,
Yeah.
let's say the interview or something, but yeah it's kind of there are problems that we face and it's like kind of like our job as Muslims or like even our Muslim community in general to kind of like bridge that gap and actually improve our opportunities like in the future, not in general like not even just Muslims as well but in general for like students of like different backgrounds like disadvantaged backgrounds. And I think that's what we aim to do as well. Because I guess our motto or our brand or something, or what our aim is or purpose is like to kind of like achieve excellence or excel in our careers and education.
That's beautiful.
Do you want to add to the struggling?
I think in my school we have like I think one prayer room, right? It's not as big as Harlington's, but it's decent, right? So
We have a whole main hall
yeah,
to us.
so that was nice. But now since I go to another school, I'm not in his school anymore.
Yeah.
It's a bit different. I noticed there's a big Muslim community. There's Bengalis, Pakistanis, Indians. There's not a lot of not a big population of white kids in my school.
Same. I think I have one white friend.
Yeah, yeah. But I would say, since we have such a Muslim community and such an ethnically diverse community, right? I think we don't experience that many hurdles when it comes to prayer or things like that. But there's only one thing that's kind of annoying. So like when we try to pray Dhuhr at school, for example, right? We will always need supervision, and I understand that supervision is key because you don't want a fight to happen or something like that.
Yeah.
But that's like the only thing that prohibits us from praying, like every now and again. So we won't have any teachers supervising us, and therefore we won't be able to pray in school, and we might miss Salah.
If I also might add that I think another thing I just realized is whenever me and Mojo go to, like, when we came to the STEM Muslim event, there was a break for Zohar.
Yeah,
Like we
I really
went,
appreciate
we
that.
prayed, and it was like we didn't miss our prayers.
Yeah,
But it's like whenever I go to different events, there's no like
yeah,
system for praying
Yeah.
and stuff. And then I'm like, no, it's an 8-hour event. I'm just there, and I'm like, bro, I'm
Yeah.
missing all my prayers. What am I
Yeah.
doing? And then I have to
Yeah.
leave early. And then me and Mojo have had times that we get off at a different station just so we can pray Maghrib, and then get on the station and go just to get to bed.
Okay, that's pretty cute.
Another thing I would ask about STEM Muslims is, the social medias and stuff. They post so much, especially on LinkedIn. Who manages these social medias?
Like we have a big team, alhamdulillah. Like I have to give like a big respect to my team. Like Zena, the execs, Zena, Mohamed, Suleiman, and Wadud, they lead a lot of things, and then the extended team as well. So we have like 5 core exec members, and then we have like a really big team as well. It's a slightly larger team of like 20 or so members, and some people deal with like hackathon stuff, some people deal with like careers events, and we have a publicity team as well.
Okay.
And so we have a publicity team, and Zena usually works with them, and they create the posters and like some of the videos as well.
Gotcha.
To be honest, when even as like a president or something, you still have to get into like if you want something done, you might have to jump on Canva yourself and build it yourself, make it yourself. And I'm not the best at it. Zaina, if you met the head sister, she's a lot better than me. And there's obviously the publicity team.
Now you are the third like kind of vice president for the STEM Muslims. Now, did you make this team, or did you like develop it? Did you add new people in? And like, how do you manage it? Like, how do you go about building a good team and making sure everybody's on the same page?
That is something that we're still learning to this day because so what we do is like every year we reshuffle the team.
Oh yeah.
So like it's like how societies and university works. Every year a new team comes and they hand over and they basically take on board all the new things. So even though I was on the team last year, but I just taking got promoted or something, I lead the team this year, and choosing a good team is actually key right now because this core exec members that you have right now is probably the best. You're gonna have the closest bond with them because you want to make sure they're the best, and then they're kind of like managing the kind of like subdivision teams, and you have to kind of make sure that everything is streamlined as one. Obviously, you're gonna like run into like disputes, and you have to have like a good dispute resolution process, for example. Especially having a larger team is a lot harder. The like my preference is obviously smaller teams, but sometimes you might have to like if you're running a bit larger organizations or larger societies, and you have larger events to accommodate for, you might have to have a larger team. Is finding that management process is hard. Like it's very hard, and that leadership is something that you build over time, and it's not something you build. You just jumping into a company or like you jump into a organization and you're automatically the best at it.
Right.
I think it's over time, over like years that you build this, and choosing that team is. I think is the main thing is choosing people that align with your purpose and your motive. I think that's the main key thing. And if they're enthusiastic, then everything else will kind of fall into place. Especially if you're hiring at like if you're recruiting at a like people like you don't need people to have prior experience to do something. You want to choose the most enthusiastic person to do this because he's gonna jump on board, he's gonna learn all this, or they're gonna join this organization, they're gonna learn everything. So I think that's all key as well.
Definitely.
I have to link kind of your kind of STEM Muslims organization to like AppSTEM, right? Because AppSTEM is sort of like a charity as well, right? And they try to, I think the team is mostly Muslim. Like I know Zaina is, if,
I think
if
okay.
yeah. So they're all kind of Muslims. So
Basically,
do
Mojo
you
here
think?
is the ambassador.
Wait,
He's
don't
an ambassador
put
for
me.
AP STEM, but for engineering.
Engineering, yeah.
Engineering ambassador, mashallah. I'm very proud that he got that. We had AP STEM on a few episodes back, and I mentioned STEM Muslims. And
Yeah, so I was watching the episode like I watched some of the episode. It was a really good episode, mashallah.
really
we
good,
appreciate it. Yeah. But yeah, I think I'm just putting it out there. I'm just
Yeah.
saying AP STEM Muslims.
I was thinking this.
That
Yeah.
couple could be crazy.
I think that's possible. Like I would want to do an event with them, like inshallah in the future as well.
Because if I think the main reason is because of course you guys are very good at managing events because you have that facility
Yeah.
there because you're linked to university. But the AP STEM
Yeah,
is
they're kind of
more
spread out.
But the thing is, they are such a massive following.
Yeah.
They're about to reach
Yeah.
1,000. So mixed with that following
Right.
and a natural event, that would be big.
Okay, jazakallah. One thing we try to do is like, so AV STEM, the majority of the people in AV STEM, like, how do you say, they are like sixth form students or like
Yeah.
people applying to degree apprenticeships and universities. And I think that's very useful for like our outreach department as well.
Okay.
Interesting. Because I would say it's sort of a mix. I'd say there's a lot of Year 12 students. I know me, him, a bunch of my friends are part of it, right? But I'd also say that there are some, I think, undergrads or university students, stuff like that.
Yeah, but I think majority is 6 1.
Majority is
Yeah.
like 6 1, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's very useful for us because like we're trying to improve. Like every year we try to do more events for our like sixth form students and stuff like that. Like we partner with a lot of organizations within that accommodate for university students. If, for example, if you're interested in the startups or entrepreneurship, we partner with Redwood Founders.
Yeah, I
Have
saw
you heard
that post, yeah.
So right now we're doing like a builder fund. So that's something that we do with university students, but there's not much. Like we do, like this year we ramped up our initiatives with our things, and obviously there's a lot more things that we can do with that as well. But there's a lot more events and ideas. For example, even financial education for sixth form students. That's something that you're never gonna find out for. First of all, not only financial education, but also Muslim financial education. Okay, what are things that you can find what you can do and what you can't do, and also just upskilling yourself in every skill, like every sector as well. There's things that are missing. Like in MIT, they have a course. They're missing semester of your CS education.
Mhm.
What about the missing semester of your sixth form studies?
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
And that's what we try. That's what we try to do as well.
Definitely, that's fantastic. Come to the finance aspect of it. I've heard that the government is trying to do like non-interest like loans, student loans. And what basically they say is they're gonna charge you more, but they're gonna use that extra money to fund the students back for next year. Oh, is that even true? Have you heard about that stuff?
Yeah, I had to implementing it for like next year or something. I mean, this is something that's like really inefficient from the government because people have been calling it from 2012 or something. It's been an immensely long time.
Definitely. Now that we're coming closer to eventually the end of the podcast, I always like to ask the guest, what is one thing that people don't know about you or wouldn't expect about you?
Okay.
We know that you like Bulldog. We saw your bio, and you also have to, you also have to explain what's that 0 to 100 going from 0 to
Yeah,
100.
on your LinkedIn.
What's the meaning behind that?
Okay, so that's like something like to do with startups basically.
Gotcha.
Going from 0 to 100 means like you have an idea or like you have like a shower thought and you want to get from 0 to 1, which is that idea you had that popped into your head and you put that into like an MVP.
Gotcha.
And then 100 is like a full-fledged startup, a full-fledged company.
Yeah.
So you're going from 0 to 100 is something that like you want to be there from 0 and you want to get there to 100.
Definitely.
And that's something that inshallah we want to do in our lifetime as well. The Bulldog, I made it on the vibe, to be honest. I was having Bulldog that day and I was like, even though it's kind of unhealthy, I really love it.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
One thing that many people don't know about me is like, I think one thing that's kind of like exciting or something I don't regret in my lifetime is like, I've had a lot of jobs in my lifetime. So like since sixth form, I was working like different odd jobs. So whether that's working for like Arsenal Stadium or whether that's working for like Chelsea or catering or all these random jobs, it's something that I really like. Sometimes I enjoyed it, sometimes I didn't, but it always gives you that experience. So like I always recommend people like if you're gonna take some, even try to take up a part-time job or something. It gives you the experience. It gives you obviously a bit of cash as well. And obviously there's like a lot of like random moments that happen in there. Like just long tangents of like my experiences within there. So I think I've had like maybe 15 jobs over my lifetime. Also I'm also very very bad at commitment as well.
Okay.
So I used to join a company and I used to train there. And then if I didn't like the job company after like 3 weeks, I would just take my
3 weeks.
take my
No, you're gone.
No, please.
How, like, even I was considering taking up like a part-time job. Like, I was considering it for a while, but then I just thought it might be too much, and so I just left it. How did you like manage all that?
I think it's just more. Well, one thing you've discovered over your lifetime: the most busy people are like the most. They do a lot. They still have time for things like other people won't have time for. Like for example, your time that you're, let's say, wasting your time. For example, you're scrolling over TikTok. If another person will be looking at your time and he'll be like, oh, well, he's not making use of his time. In core of all this is just time management and making use of your time. And I think like one thing that I've discovered about busy people is just that they always have time for you as well. Some people that you might message like a CEO or something, and you're like, oh, he's never gonna respond to me. But he still has time for you no matter what,
Yeah.
because he's focused and he's kind of like able to manage his time well.
That's
So
him. That's him. He
a
never
lot.
responds.
I try. I try.
No, but he's getting better.
Yeah.
You would text him one day and he responds a week after.
The time management, I see. Yeah.
But I think time management has to be one of the greatest things you could probably. That's one of the most skills, like transferable skills I could learn. Like I personally love to be as busy as I can, because if I'm not busy, I just find myself just wandering around.
Yeah, you want to be as busy as possible. Yeah,
Definitely.
I agree.
Like when in summers, because school finishes, of course, pick up some projects here and there. But then, if I have nothing to do for like a while, I just kind of disturb my mom in this. I just keep walking beside her. What are you making? What are you doing? And then she's like, do something. And then, like last year 11 summer, I did 2 internships. And basically, I did one internship in an architecture company for 3 months, and I did one internship in a car motor company for 3 months, and this was overlap. So I would go at 8 with my father. He would drop me at the architecture company. He would pick me at 5, and then I would go to the car company, and I would stay there till 9, and then he would take me every day for 3 months.
Yeah, it's always good being busy. I can't lie. It's like, and some of the worst feelings is like when you have nothing to do,
Yeah,
and then let's say you have nothing to do, and you're just like you might be doing something like wasting your time,
yeah,
and then after the time you're like, oh, you just feel like really bad.
definitely. Let me ask you this: what are your favorite books? Because I've noticed a lot of good students and a lot of curious minds like yours, of course. They just like learning stuff, and everybody has a different way of learning stuff. Like one of the previous guests, he likes reading magazines and articles and stuff. Do you like reading books, and what's your way of gaining just curious knowledge?
I think I've read a couple, but like it depends on like what do you mean, fiction or non-fiction?
Preference. I personally don't read fiction. I just like non-fiction, but of course, people do like fiction.
I think non-fiction. I think I got interested in the most. It's like the brief history. I think it was a brief history of time with like Bill Bryson or something. That was like a really good book. I read it in like year 11. It was really good in terms of like I was really interested in physics then, and there was a lot of things. There was a lot of things jam packed in this book. What else is there? Like there's a lot of Islamic books I like reading as well. It's like there's one of the series that came out. I think it was by. I'll need to send it again, but it's not the Symbol Seerah, but it's like a Seerah that was like transcribed from a lecture series.
Mhm.
So I think the Seerah by Yasser Qadhi, and then it was transcribed into a book. I think that's very very good.
Very nice. Yeah, me and Mojo, you currently reading which book?
Atomic Habits.
Yeah, Atomic Habits. I've already read it, and personally, my favorite is Furman's Last Enigma.
Yeah.
I had this time where I used to.
Feynman's Last, is it the one that goes about his life?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah, I know about that.
From National Geographic, that's the one I read.
It was good.
Black cover and stuff like that.
I don't remember which one I read. It was like the one that goes around his life, and he has all these weird stories that he done.
Oh,
And
yeah,
you're like,
I think it's the same one.
Yeah,
but
that
it's the same one. Yeah, okay.
They phrased it like this. They said he's a lawyer in the day, magician
yeah,
at the night.
And he's like a womanist in the like. Or something.
Wait, no, Thomas Last Enigma, I enjoyed it so much because it was he sounds like a superhero. It's like the letters he used to send his wife, but behind it there would be some maths on it, some geometry,
Yeah.
and then they would use that to find, oh, this guy already knew this stuff.
Yeah.
And it was
Yeah.
wonderful.
But it's like I think this. I like reading books a lot, but right now I've just gone to just reading like little random articles and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of like Medium articles or like YouTube videos I just watch randomly and just. Yeah, what's your favorite like YouTube channel or something? Or something?
Mine, I stand by this for years now.
Yeah.
Star Talk. Neil deGrasse Tyson and what's it called? Another person. They have this podcast called Star Talk. Wonderful.
Astronomy.
Yeah, astronomy, everything, and it's wonderful. Another thing would be Three Blue Brown. That guy makes
Yep.
amazing animations, and it's so interesting. I'm currently writing a research paper with 2 other people on astrophysics and how orbital physics came about. I have Copernicus, someone has Isaac Newton, and another. We kind of the history behind it. And the reason I was writing that paper is because I watched this video with Neil Tao. I'm probably saying the professor. I'm probably saying that name wrong, but he explained it so wonderfully, and I was so excited about it. I got a team, and now we're just writing a paper on it. But yeah, I think those two probably is where I jump between the most. Math wise, is this guy with red pen, black pen? He solves
Yeah, I know.
integrals, and
It's like a Pikachu or something,
Yeah.
or like a Pokemon Warns.
he switches pens, and he does some integrals, and I think he did 1,000 integrals in one day, and it took him like 8, 9, 10 hours just integrals.
Yeah, he's insane.
My favorite
Yeah.
YouTube channel. I don't watch much YouTube. I used to watch a lot of YouTube, but I think Star Talk is probably like one of the best yet.
The reason I enjoy Star Talk is you can just put it in the background and you just learn stuff. Like when I do my lab book for physics, I used to find it horrible because I was like, I have to sit down, just write, stick stuff in. But now what I do is I just put a Star Talk episode on. It's like an hour long. And while I'm doing it, if I get bored, I just look up, learn something new. But then I don't want to watch that for too long, so I just keep working. And I realized I could get my stuff done very quickly. Yeah.
Start doing that. Yo, what?
That's basically what I found
That's
to be
pretty
the
cool.
best way to finish my lab book. Mohammed, it has been a wonderful conversation. Jazakallah khair for your time, your work, and your heart in all of this. To everyone listening, go check out STEM Muslim Imperial on LinkedIn and Instagram. And if you're a student with big ideas, let this be your sign to start. That's it for this episode of Beyond the Books. And remember, these are stories between the line. I'm your host, Mohamed Ali, and this is my co-host,
Mohamed Jama.
Mohammed.
Thank you so much.
Really
It was like you guys were amazing hosts.
Thank you. You were an amazing guest.